How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading when the price is going up or down. Over on Dixie for the daily, we did break below our gapped area, so we will delete this now, as that is no longer relevant. Our RSI is pulling back, stochastic is selling off. VWAP is favoring bearish with lower highs and lower lows, and momentum wants to push down, causing money flow to sell off. If this continues, we likely would see the Dixie continue lower, but there is a possibility we start seeing some assets increase. Now, we did get some CPI data, so that could help with altcoins, so we'll get on that when we're on the total. Over on Bitcoin dominance for the daily, we are trying to push forward, so this is positive as Bitcoin did push ahead of altcoins. RSI is pushing up, money flow is gaining strength. VWAP does have higher lows, watch for higher highs. If we get higher highs, momentum could bounce, money flow could continue further up, and we could see Bitcoin dominance continue to gain. Remember, that would just mean Bitcoin would do better than altcoins. So over on total for the daily, we do have a possible alt season. We do have the ETH ETF news. That did take a few months for the Bitcoin ETFs in order to start actually helping and providing. You can ignore that, drivers. It's a thing saying that can't connect to your drivers. But over on total, we are trying to push forward. We do have that altcoin ETF, ETH ETF approval. That ETH ETF approval can help give our altcoins some steam. And now in September, there are going to be rate cuts. So with rate cuts, risky assets will start looking more appealing. And that means institutional investors will start putting their money into them, meaning we could see an alt season. Stochastic does want to push up, RSI is pushing forward, VWAP is gaining strength, pushing momentum higher and giving money flow strength. So we do look positive on our total. Over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, we are starting to reject that resistance area of our 61.7. I would watch very close. If we break that value area low here, it's very likely we would continue lower and see a bearish trend. Our stochastic does want to round away, RSI is flat, VWAP is bullish with higher highs and higher lows, pushing momentum further up and giving money flow some strength. If that VWAP can stay bullish, we could continue further up. However, if that VWAP starts to round away and we break that neutral, we would sell off. Right now, it's looking like we are more favorable. So over on the 4-hour, we did reject our 300 EMA. That's a little bit cautionary. If we start to round away from here, I would exercise caution on that break to the downside. Our stochastic does want to round, RSI is pulling back, momentum is rounding, VWAP is starting to pull back, and money flow is starting to weaken. Watch that VWAP close. If we make this lower high here, then we get a lower low. It's likely we could continue to break down. Sorry, trying to see my channel window. It kind of changed on me. Oops, did not mean to do that. Meant to go to the 2-hour. I can't really see the stats the same way I used to see them, so it looks a little goofy there. But over on the 2-hour, we are rejecting that resistance area. Stochastic starting to round, RSI is pulling back, momentum does want to round, VWAP is pulling back, and money flow is weakening. If that VWAP continues to push down, we likely will continue to sell off. Over on the 1-hour, we do have a rejection here of that resistance area. We did try to push forward, and now we are pulling back. I would watch if we start to break our EMA bands, and then we do not hold that 300 EMA. That's where those lower targets could come into play. However, as long as we stay above this EMA, we could bounce down, make a higher low, then continue forward, making higher highs and higher lows that do not connect very well, and that would give us a bullish continuation to push forward. However, keep in mind, we do have that 57K gap, and last time we blasted off, I believe it was quite some time ago, it was like way back here, we blasted off with having a gap. We managed to run up very good. We made several gaps, and people may not have thought those gaps would have filled. Eventually, this first one broke. We pushed forward, trying to make another run up. We made a gap. We did end up dropping down, filling that gap. And then we made a big gap down, filling the first gap that we had. And now this run up we have here is filling that gap that filled that previous primary gap. So I would exercise caution, because if we do not hold this range, we could easily start to pull back. Momentum is starting to round away. We have a double red dot. Stochastic is breaking down, VWAP is pulling back, and money flow does want to sell off. Over on Bitcoin for the daily, we did get a very strong run up ahead of that news that we would see the Fed rate cuts. So we will delete all these patterns as our triangle is played out, and we did not get the bearish breakdown because we did see that positive news, and that news does mean risky assets. can push up. That's why we may have an alt season. Stochastic does want to push up, RSI is pushing forward, VWAP is gaining strength, momentum's pushing up, and money flow does want to run up. Over on the 4 hour, we are testing that 300 EMA, so watch the next few candles very close. If we continue to reject here and break our EMA band, it's likely we would push lower. However, if we push back to our 300 EMA after rejecting, and we can get above and hold and bounce forward, then we could continue bullish. VWAP is looking decent, momentum is pushing up, money flow is bullish, stochastic's running up, and RSI is bullish, but watch that stochastic if it rounds away. Over on the 2 hour, we do have this bounce, so that bounce is what you want to see, but you don't want to see a big red candle after. You want to pull back, hit that EMA, and then continue forward, making a higher high with a higher low. Our stochastic does want to round, momentum is starting to round, VWAP is pulling back, money flow does want to sell off, so I would exercise caution here. Over on our 1 hour, we are starting to reject away. Our stochastic is pulling back, momentum is rounding, RSI is starting to pull back, so watch that stochastic. If it continues lower, RSI will lead price lower. Our VWAP does have a lower low, so watch if we cannot get above that neutral. If we continue to favor bearish here, that's where we would continue lower. Right here, we did break bearish, we did go kind of flat. We were able to reclaim bullish territory, make a higher low, and then make higher highs. That's what gave us the environment to push up for. So you want to kind of watch that VWAP very close, because if it would have favored more bearish like here, you would have fallen off a cliff like back there. So over on graph for the daily, we are starting to see our break up scenario, so that is very positive. Again, watch the rest of the market. Stochastic does want to push up, RSI is pushing forward, VWAP is running up, momentum's pushing forward, and money flow is running up as well. So we do look positive on the daily. Over on the 4 hour, ideally, we would round away, hit the top of our pattern, then continue forward, making that higher high and higher low. Stochastic does want to push up, VWAP has a higher high with higher lows, momentum is pushing forward, stochastic's pushing up, and the RSI does look positive, so the 4 hour does look pretty decent. Again, you want that retracement because you don't want it to shoot straight up. If you shoot straight up, likely you will come crashing down. Over on the 2 hour, stochastic does want to round, RSI is starting to round, momentum is rounding away, VWAP does want to pull back, but we do have a pretty strong wave, so watch for a higher low. If we get a higher low, we could continue up. However, if we break that neutral and get a lower low or consistent low and then fail to get over that neutral, we will see a sell-off. Over on the 1 hour here, we are rounding away, potentially making a bearish engulfing candle, so watch the next couple candles. We could start to see that pull back, and if we do make that bounce off our pattern and continue up, that's where you would want to get in on that push to our 16,316. Stochastic does want to round, momentum is rounding, RSI is pulling back, VWAP is pushing down, and money flow is starting to sell off, so I would exercise caution. Over on Ankr for the daily, we did try to break that 2673. We're trying to stay above it, so that is positive. Stochastic wants to run up, RSI is pushing forward, VWAP is getting a higher high with this higher low, pushing momentum higher and giving money flow strength. So we do look positive. But over on the 4 hour here, we are starting to round away. I would watch. We are making a retest of support. So we want to follow this with a strong green candle and then break and hold above our EMA. If we can break and hold above our 300 EMA, then we could continue to see a run up. That 2883 would act as another resistance though. Momentum does want to round away. VWAP is starting to pull back, so I would watch that VWAP. If we make a lower high here, then we could end up breaking down just after making a slight bullish trend. Over on the 2 hour here, we are starting to round away, retesting our support level, so that is positive. We do have those higher highs and higher lows, so we do have the environment to push up, but these may connect, so I will draw that out real quick. Exercise caution. They do connect pretty close, so this could be a rising channel. Remember, a rising channel would break you down, but doesn't have to, just like we saw in Bitcoin today. Our momentum does want to round, VWAP's pulling back, stochastic is selling off, RSI wants to pull back, so if that stochastic breaks, RSI will lead price lower. That VWAP is pushing down, so watch if we can get a higher low. If we get a higher low and then stay in the bullish territory, we can continue forward. However, if that VWAP breaks down, we could see the bears gain control. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic's pulling back, momentum is rounding with a double red dot. VWAP wants to break down, money flow is pulling back, so I would exercise caution. Over on XRP for the daily, We are staying above that 57 support area, so that does look positive, but we do have an indecision candle. It is a long lower shadow, so if followed by a strong green candle, we could push forward, but if we see some bearish momentum, we could end up making a rounding top and crashing down. VWAP is pulling back, momentum is rounding, money flow is bullish, stochastics pushing up, RSI is gaining strength. Watch that VWAP though. Over on our 4 hour, we do have a pretty strong low, but we're reclaiming bullish territory. If we can stay above our neutral from this point, momentum could bounce, money flow could push forward, and we could continue up. However, if that VWAP makes a lower high, then breaks through that neutral, it's likely we will break through our 57. Over on the 2 hour here, we are starting to struggle with our EMAs. We will have to stretch our Fibonacci band, but we are starting to struggle with our EMAs. I would watch it very close. If we solidify a lower high here, we could make a symmetrical triangle. Remember, those are 50-50 for break up or break down. Our stochastic does want to run, VWAP is pulling back, momentum is pushing forward, money flow is bullish, but if that VWAP breaks down, we could end up seeing some losses. Over on the 1 hour here, we are testing those EMAs. If we can stay above our lower EMAs and continue to bounce forward, that would be positive. We would continue the run up, but we do want to see this kind of whipsaw action, that push up, then retracement, then push up, retracement. That's more of the healthy move. You don't want to just go straight up like back here, because you could end up crashing back down like right here. Stochastic is rounding away, momentum is seeing a red dot, RSI is pulling back, VWAP does want to break neutral, and money flow is starting to push down. So I would exercise caution and watch that VWAP close. If we make a higher low with higher highs or consistent highs, then we can push forward. But if that VWAP starts to favor under that neutral, we will see our bullish momentum retraced. Over on ALGO for the daily, if I can get the word out, over on ALGO for the daily, we are trying to break that 1350, but we are starting to struggle, so I would watch. Stochastic does want to round away, VWAP is starting to round, but we are getting a higher high with higher lows, pushing momentum up and giving money flow strength. So we did cross into bullish territory. Watch for that bullish cross to remain on lower time frames to give it further strength and a run up to that 1618. If we start to lose our bullish strength here, we likely would retrace downwards. Over on the 4 hour, stochastic does want to round. We do have a break of our 300 EMA. Watch if we can bounce and then break through our 1350 and hold. If we can continue up to that 1618. But if we do not, we're likely going to push back down to the 1032. Momentum does want to round, stochastic's pulling back, RSI is starting to push down, that VWAP is starting to struggle with weaker highs and weak lows. So I would watch if we get a strong low, then we failed to get above that neutral, that's where we likely would sell off. Over on the 2 hour, we are testing that support area, so again, watch very close. Momentum wants to round, VWAP is getting lower highs and wants to break down, money flow is pulling back, so overall, it does look like we could sell off. Finally, on the 1 hour, since there's no request, momentum is breaking down, stochastic's pushing down, VWAP does have lower highs and lower lows, giving us a bearish channel. That bearish channel will continue to weaken momentum, bring money flow lower, and if it prolongs, we will see that lead into higher time frames and cause a reversal. So I would watch out for that. Watch that VWAP very close here. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope